let's get right into the big discussion of the day. And as you can see, we're joined by former Minister of Youth and Sports Development, a lawyer, Mr. Solomon Dalung, joins us virtually this morning. You're welcome to the show, Mr. Dalung. You were recently seen in that video, and I want us to just start from there. In that video with Omoyele Sowore and Deji Adeyanju put out a tweet saying that yesterday a coalition of patriots condemned the killings in Plateau. But, you know, the coalition got a lot of people's attention because they know that the PDP candidate for the 2023 presidential election, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, is trying to build a coalition with saying Mr. El Rufai in the SDP, your party. So is this the same coalition? Is this a different coalition? Is Mr. Sowore also a part of that coalition, or this is a different arrangement entirely? So we are clear on behalf of Nigerians.
Well, good morning, Nigerians. I think let me put it into proper perspectives. The coalition is a coalition of patriots who are interested in trying to mobilize Nigerians to be more interested in the affairs of the country, to promote our core values, unity, justice, and togetherness. So it's not a political coalition. We all have our different political affiliations, and we may have common political ideology. So that's just basically it.
Right, and you remain in the SDP. Am I correct?
I'm a card-carrying member of the Social Democratic Party.
All right, Mr. Dalung, let's get into the issues. There's been a lot of talk around the defection of the Delta State governor, his predecessor to the APC, a party you left some years ago, a party which you served under, of course, but you left for various reasons. But we see people joining the APC now, and you've described this government as, you know, very strong cabal government of kakistocracy. I mean, you've used, you know, some of those terms to describe this government and the APC and your party. So what do you make first of this movement? Because this is something you left, so people are moving to it saying, well, this is the best thing, almost in sliced bread, Mr. Dalung.
The wave of defections or gale of defections of the political elites who are positioning themselves either for survival or protection or evasion of prosecution cannot be taken seriously by students of the Nigerian politics, because the first question you may ask, if you understand politics very well, is that in defection, it is the people who brought you into power that will motivate you to defect. And they will give you genuine reasons. Oh, we are disappointed in this political party. Oh, we are not satisfied by the failure of either internal democracy, which is basically what usually instigates some of these defections. Oh, we are not satisfied with this leadership. But what we see happening is an array of a generation of politicians who succeeded themselves or handed over batons to each other, some with outstanding corruption cases, having corruption hanging on their necks like the sword of Damocles. And then they line up and said, oh, we have migrated to the ruling party. We are guided very well by the statement of the former governor of Edo State, Senator Shomale, who said, if you defect into the APC, your sins are forgiven. Meaning that if you are a saint, a political saint, you have no business to defect to the APC. But if you have skeletons in your cupboards, you will defect. So these defections is too early for us to assess, but I do know that the people who elected these defectors are intact. Don't forget that they contested primaries with more popular people in the party. They only won because of the weight of the size of their pockets. So if they are leaving the party now, they can compel those popular and credible politicians left behind to live with them. So they will reorganize the people popularly now and to face them. So we are just having a charade that is referred to defections to the ruling party. But then if you have skeletons in your cupboard, you can join or migrate immediately.
Well, Mr. Dalung, this coalition of patriots, just before we get into the security matters, I'd like you to, talk to us a bit more about the objective. But in context, I wonder why Nigerians should take you seriously, particularly because you admitted to the media just last year that when you presented alongside the All Progressives Congress, former President Muhammadu Buhari to Nigerians as a candidate, that you lied to Nigerians, and indeed what you wanted, was to use his charisma, and indeed the APC did not deliver on its promises. So whatever this coalition is presenting to Nigerians now, why should we trust you? Why should Nigerians trust you?
Well, this coalition, basically, like I said, has no relationship with politics. We are basically interested in galvanizing Nigerians to try to save and protect this country, because we understood that we either come together collectively and fight, or we also die collectively as fools. This is just basically what is the motivating drive there. If you look at the state of insecurity, its dynamics, and how it's been spreading across the country. So we needed Nigerians to know that, look, the state with its apparatus seems to be interested more in protecting themselves and not the people. And the people cannot just fold their arms and surrender to a few group of criminals carrying arms, with government conveniently renaming them with one nomenclature to the other. So that is basically it. For Nigerians to trust me, it's basically left for Nigerians. Nigerians have been living here. And so they know me very well. Whether of the 60 years I have lived, the 4 years of participation in Buhari's government outweighs the remaining 56 years, is left for Nigerians to assess. But that will not preclude me from raising alarm when it is clear that eminently my country is facing great challenge, and I should draw the attention of Nigeria. So the issue of integrity is not personal. It is left for the people to decide. Trust is an asset. If they believe that I'm worthy of trusting it and doing it, they will. But then we are all humans. Otherwise, nobody would have made it. It is clear in all religions. If you know you are wrong, you admit and apologize, and I've done that as a human being. I'm not a perfect being. Neither am I Angel Gabriel.
Mr. Dalung, so let's get to the nitty-gritty of some of the issues that are facing the country. I was listening to the Minister of Aviation yesterday, and he was talking about the fact that under this administration, more monies have been given to the subnationals, and I agree with him, that's a fact. And that is simple, and there's a cost to that as well. So the federal government has stopped paying subsidy for PMS, has stopped subsidizing FX, has also stopped partly subsidizing electricity. So all of that should have been channeled either directly or indirectly to that cause is now funneled into the federation account, which is shared among the subnationals and the federal government and the state government, or the federation in that sense. So there's generally more money, and some governors are even saying now that they've not borrowed since they came into office. And they've also talked about the fact that our debt to revenue ratio usually was about 90-something%, about 96, 98. Now it's about 68. So that 30%, that chunk of that, the management of that fund is now plowed back into the economy to build some of the things they are building. But the argument is, for those who understand economics will know that more money doesn't mean development in that sense.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about some things that are low-hanging fruits, that no matter the projection that this government has in terms of their policy direction, if it's not sorted, all of the effort of the president is going to go to waste, and that's a fact. It's just a matter of time you get to see. Number one, and I want to take them in steps, I want you to speak about fighting corruption, because if somebody is allegedly corrupt and he sees small money, he steals. If you give him more money, he will steal more money. So let's talk about the effort at fighting corruption from where you sit under this administration. Are you seeing that effort to really fight corruption? The president has said that his own effort at fighting corruption maybe is to increase wages of workers and all of that. Well, that is his own argument. But talk about the effort at fighting corruption, because there's corruption everywhere. The federal, the state, security, civil service is everywhere, and it's eating deep into our fabric.
The best method of fighting corruption is exemplary leadership. If the leader, by his conduct, represents what he says, people will believe him, and everybody in the society will queue up and begin to behave like the leader. So this government, to be very honest and modest with words, their effort is just enabling corruption. Because I say this with references to the conduct, behavior, and attitude of those who hold positions in government. There was a time the Senate president was announcing a recess in the Senate, and he told them, "I'm going to send some thing into your account." And when he realized that the mic was on, he changed and said, "Oh, I'm going to send you emails." I mean, 250 million Nigerians, very intelligent, hardworking, brilliant people, good people, sweet souls. You will just take us to be a community of buffoons. So, to me, I don't see much effort. I only see more efforts in enabling corruption. And if you look at the abuse of procurement processes by this administration, we are awarding a contract of 1.7 or thereabout trillion without proper procurement procedures from the comfort of your bedroom and to a friend with a family member who is a director in the company. This is not even different from what has happened under President Muhammadu Buhari, where the Accountant General, who is supposed to be the custodian of the funds of the peoples of Nigeria, in one transaction, made away with 109 billion. Until today, the man has been rewarded with the traditional title. So I don't see any effort as such, because the lifestyle of people in government who are calling Nigerians to sacrifice does not at all depict sacrifice. They live large, they live lavishly, while Nigerians languish in hunger and poverty. So corruption has won the battle, corruption has triumphed, and I'm afraid even we discussing corruption now, corruption may visit us immediately. So it takes some courage and risks for you to talk about it. In future, I foresee a situation where for you to be appointed, I mean, your CV must contain corruption capacity before you will be appointed if nothing is done.
Let's talk about the security challenge now. And again, I'd like you to, reflect on matters arising within the context of what is happening, particularly with response to this challenge. First of all, on the one hand, politicians are not agreed on the identity of those who are perpetrating, these crimes in Nigeria's North Central, your state, home state Plateau, and Benue State. We've heard, a member of the cabinet in Benue State telling us here that, these people are herders, and he identified them with specificity. But, the governor spoke later on our own program, our sister political program, saying that these people are foreign, are of foreign extraction. What's your own theory about the identities of the people, the criminal elements who are, causing havoc in these states in Nigeria? And what would be your assessment of the governor's explanation? Have they been forthright in bringing the federal government to account with regards to responding, with manpower and equipment to tackle these challenges, those two issues?
If we want to be honest with the identity of, the new wave of criminality, which is terrorism, that has existential potentials and genocidal intentions, we'll have to go back and take a great study at the popular speech of Baraje, the former National Secretary of APC, who confessed on his 70th birthday that in the build-up to 2015, the APC imported mercenaries into Nigeria to facilitate its victory. Now, that was the National Secretary of the party. He had more knowledge about what happened more than every other person. Even myself, as a founding member of the party, I didn't know that much until that public outburst. So if you pick his statement and then you align it, you now adopt a deeper critical analysis of the statement of Governor Alia and some of the statements of people from the platform, what I have also said as a person, you will form consensus along the line, or there will be a conference of ideas that basically those who are attacking our people are foreign mercenaries. They may have identities, from what we hear from our local people, looking like some indigenous communities in Nigeria, especially the Fulanis, but they speak, the languages they speak are too exotic to the Nigerian ethnic phyla. So basically, we are dealing with a more complex terrorism that, if you look at their pattern of attacks, is so advanced and is intended to wipe completely the human community of their ancestral lands and completely take over. And the governor of Plateau State has given us a hint to it when he said there are over 64 communities currently under their control. So I think I agree more with the governor, and I don't want to drain the complicity of trying to reduce it to communal or farmer-herder clashes. Those elements may exist, but they are microscopic. Then back to the roles of the chief executives of the subnational governments. Disappointingly too, they have not lived up to their expectations. Majority of them spend their time in Abuja. They only go back to their states when there is any problem. So they are more or less like cosmopolitan chief executive living in Abuja and then ruling by proxy. And this is the reason why insecurity has been escalating. So when you take what was the first question, the monies from the proceeds of the fuel subsidy flowing to the subnational governments, and then without any meaningful impact, but with poverty and hunger, insecurity rising astronomically, you will come to a conclusion that the subnational government cannot be exonerated from the failure, which is now the chorus on the mouths of most Nigerians. There are low-hanging fruits that the subnational governments can harvest to try to augment the situation. Fighting poverty must not be an issue of the federal government. The states should have dealt with the issue of poverty. The states would have run their economies in a manner that will put food and bring succor to their people. So
Mr. Dalung, because of time, if I may butt in, my apologies. So let's stay with that issue of security for a bit, which you have talked about. Everybody has to take responsibility, including the sub-nationals. But as my colleague Bukola has said about even identifying who is responsible, is a political conversation in that sense. On one hand, we've had a conversation within the same government of Benue. One is saying is suspected headers of Fulani ethnic nationalities, the criminal elements of that header group. The governor is saying, no, they are foreigners, maybe from somewhere else. So there's a lot of inconsistency and contradiction wherever you look. There are people that have said that there is even, it's a bit more complicated than with ink. But there's something that seems to be the common thread here, what the intention is of these people. So from where you sit and what you know, what is really the intention? Some are saying it's annihilation, some are saying it's ethnic cleansing, some are saying it's land grabbing, all kinds of potpourri. But you are from that area. What exactly are these people looking for?
Reviewing their activities, pattern of attack, identity, and aligning it with experiences of other places, I have come to the conclusion that these criminals are mercenaries brought to grab land. So they will exterminate the ancestral communities. These lands are taken, and for what purpose will the land be taken? The land will be taken for economic activities. If you look at Jos Plateau of recent, there is a rising profile of artisanal mining by local people. So the rich mineral deposit in those areas, especially the Bokos axis, where you have rich forest reserve, the land itself is also rich in minerals. Of course, these people are just enablers of a larger conspiracy to eliminate the people, take over their lands, and then mining activities will continue like what is obtainable in Zamfara now. So for me, that basically appears to be. And why has little attention not given to this? Because of the complicity of the political elites. Because if you look at their explanation now, I mean, within the same government, they are double speaking about the identities of these criminals, when we know as a fact from available evidence that they are mercenaries. And they are not indigenous Fulani, because the pattern of their attack, which is genocidal, they wipe everything on the face of the earth, everything living.
So, Mr. Dalung, if
take over the place.
If that is the case, and as you have said, that you cannot absolve the governors of, incapacity to tackle this, what then is the option left to the, locals, the indigents in these areas, in terms of defending themselves? And for the, the executives at the subnationals, is it as a result of lethargy or, political expediency that they are unable to be forthright with the federal government about what the real needs of security are in their domain? Because if the police only go to the areas where these crimes have been committed, to carry the dead bodies, then there is a very strong issue about deterrence.
it about?
Well, you see,
Beautiful.
the subnational governments have already been intimidated by the federal government. So the governors are behaving like school children before the headmaster because they are too uncertain about what they should do. Their tenure is even not guaranteed. So they have to now rely solely on pleasing the government at the center so that they are not visited with either state of emergency or the crisis will fester and they lose their relevance. So that is understandable. But they have the only option now open for the people, which I've aligned myself with, is the option suggested by the DG of DSS. He called it the first line of action, but I christened it as the homegrown solution. These communities were not conquered communities. And before the advent of colonialism, they fought wars, defended themselves. So there are cultural, traditional mechanisms left behind by our ancestors to defend that land. Therefore, we need to come together and face these people headlong. Secondly, the experiment of the homegrown solution has succeeded even in Plateau. The Taro people between 2001 and 2005 came under barrage of attacks from mercenaries. What saved them was the courage of coming together on hearing alarm that they are coming, they are coming. The community moves out in number and there is strength in number. And this will intimidate them and they will take to their heels and advantage is taken. It has also been practiced in Azare, where Boko Haram attacked Azare and the people came out in number. So I am of the very strong contention that the homegrown solution of the people coming together and defending themselves is the best option.
Mr. Solomon Dalung is a lawyer and former Minister of Youth and Sports Development, joining us virtually. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program and for your views as well on the issues raised on the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and you're welcome.